how do you get to that point where you have enough stuff that you act like you're looking for a job and you want to interview, or you're afraid of interviewing, or wherever you're at in your career, you always have to be ready to interview. Unfortunately, because tech is what it is, and like it's been through a rough patch lately. I think it's always good to know that you're able to sort out an interview, rather that is if that's like a technical interview or just like one of those like tell me about yourself interviews. So I want to talk a little bit about, in my experience, what do you need to have like a well-rounded presence for you to be applying for jobs. So that could be like you already have a job, you probably but you want something different. You could not have a job and want to land something. And let's talk about in general what it requires for you to have a way into the tech job market. Um, so as a preamble, well, I just said that as an introduction. We're going to be talking about all these points, but let me introduce myself. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Alejandro Aspinwall. I am a software engineer. I I've been working on a couple of different technologies, mostly full stack development, web development for using JavaScript, TypeScript. Um, my latest experience is at Amazon as a front end engineer, and previously I worked on a finance company, and before that I worked on a property management company. So my experience as a software engineer has been everything changes very fast, changes all the time, and even if you think you're going to do something, you probably end up doing something completely different. Um, but the one thing that is constant is that tech and code and getting on top of different technologies and kind of getting to know what's out there, that's usually the way things go. So you might start as I am only interested in JavaScript, but then you get into, well, I want to do backend, and you get into Golang, and then you have to figure something out to do some automation. So you kind of get into Rust, but you realize Rust is kind of this hellhole that people say does everything, but nobody really wants to touch it because it's very hard. So that's kind of the experience of like working in the tech world, as having fun here and there, and tinkering with stuff. But as a job, I would say like a 9 to 5 kind of thing. Um, it varies so much. So yeah, I'm sidetracking a little bit. Um, so I want to talk about what is important for you to start your job search. Um, I wanted to talk. I want to talk about. Let me try to list my ideas here. So I want to talk about where to look. Um, so let's talk about LinkedIn. And now I'll talk about LinkedIn for a little bit. So where to look is one thing. What to have at hand. What to have. So let's talk about resume. I know this has an accent, but I want to keep it like that for a little bit. Let's talk resume. Let's talk portfolio. What to have, where to look, what to have. You have a resume, you have a portfolio. Let's talk about web presence. And finally, I want to talk about interviews. So, where, what to expect? Let's say what to expect. So, I want to kind of do this as a little timeline where you're kind of looking for something, you find a job on LinkedIn, and then what to expect. Let's talk about interviews. Right. Okay. So let's say that you're browsing LinkedIn and you want to get a job, and or you're looking for jobs, and you find something that you're interested in, and you're going to apply for that company. You're gonna prepare your resume. You're gonna have your portfolio and a little web presence to let that employer know that you're ready to, uh, show off your skills, or that you're a well-rounded engineer. Then they say, okay, I wanna talk to this person. Let's get to know each other. They're gonna call you. And then you have an interview, and then you have another interview, and then another interview, and then another interview, and hopefully you can finally get an offer and you get a job. So that's usually the process. And I know it can be scary to jump in directly into interviews, for example, or sometimes you might think like, well, I'm not ready for interviews yet. I'm not ready for like clicking around, and maybe my resume is not ready. Maybe my portfolio is not super polished, or I don't have enough projects here and there. But I would say that if you have a nice resume and you have a portfolio and it's easy to find you online, then you're good. This part you can practice. This is practice. And this part is something that you can actively work on. And finally, the LinkedIn bit, we're gonna get to that in a little bit. I want to first start with LinkedIn. Finding jobs in LinkedIn is very challenging lately. I don't have, I'm not a recruiter, so I don't have LinkedIn recruiter to have all that information at hand. One thing that I know is LinkedIn is a huge business. So in like any other platform, they're in the business of having your attention and valuing, well kind of like setting kind of like a price for your attention, or like kind of like trading in people. So and I don't mean that in the bad sense. Like LinkedIn kind of hoards all the jobs. So as a recruiter, you're going to post a job, and if you add a little bit of money here and there on LinkedIn, then your job is going to be highlighted. And this is not, I'm not doing any kind of like conspiracy theory here. I just want to show you what my experience is in real time on LinkedIn. So if you're looking for a specific job, let's say you're a TypeScript developer, and just look for TypeScript. Let's hit that. Then you're going to get some results. If you stick with those results, you might not notice here something that says promoted, easy apply, promoted. I'm not 100% sure what promoted means, but to me, it just means that someone is paying extra to show me this ad. Well, maybe it's not an ad, but this job posting. So when I'm looking for something, like, if you Google something and you're on page 25, you probably did something wrong, or like you're not at the right place. That doesn't seem to apply for LinkedIn. And why do I say that? Because these jobs usually are reposted many times, or like you see the same jobs over and over again. And you're probably not interested in those jobs, but you have to scroll so much to get to something that actually interests you that it kind of feels like there's nothing out there. But here's a little tip that I found to make this search a little bit easier. So if you're looking for that, let's say page 1 of jobs. If you click on all filters, you're going to see this little thing that says sort by most recent or most relevant. Whatever you do, I would suggest to go by most recent, because you really want to see what's out there and how, as you search for posts, you look today, you look in a week, or you look 3 days from now. You want to make sure that is up to date. So I'll click most recent, then I'll click on past week, and finally I'm looking for remote jobs, so I'm going to click on remote, and green jobs, I don't know what that is, but that's what I want now. So see how results kind of tanked? I don't know how many there were. Oh yeah, 1,480. There's not that many remote jobs. This is to be expected. But then when you click it, see what happens. There's a couple of companies that you're going to see over and over again. This is what I wanted to talk about. Some companies post the same job hundreds of times. I don't know what the purpose of this is, but to me, not having a way to let LinkedIn know I'm not interested in this company is kind of hard, because then they're not really 130 results. They're probably way less, because if I refresh the page, and hopefully, yeah, they keep showing up. So as I navigate, the first thing that I have to do is clean this up so I actually know what's out there. So that is a problem. I kind of have a solution for this, and I want to talk about this in the future. So if you're interested in solving this problem for yourself, let me know, because I have a couple of ideas. So yeah, finally, when you remove all this stuff that you don't want, gets reduced to 24 results. So that is kind of different from 130 results, right? So that is how I kind of start approaching job postings. So if I'm interested in something, front-end architect, manager, whatever, I'll probably click on something, and then I'm gonna get this magical meme-like stuff where it's like, for a senior role, you gotta do Vue types, JavaScript, TypeScript, CSS, progressive web app. That's okay. Backend framework experience like Django or Spring. Okay, that's okay. Here's the compensation range, 20 days PTO. Okay, this one is okay, right? So I would probably save my application, or save the link for this, and then later apply. So back in the day, it was very hard to apply massively to a bunch of jobs, because you know the way to do it, like what recruiters are always telling you to do, is like how to apply. Okay, let's see. How to apply. Once you found a job that you're interested in, usually you have to have updated resume. Sometimes people tell you that it could be, a plus if you have like a tailored. Ooh. Yeah, sorry. Tailored. Yeah, I was thinking Taylor Swift. Sorry, tailored resume for that job. So what that means is, if you're applying for, let's say that it's a full stack job and you've been doing front end work, you kind of want to tweak your resume for it to look like, well, you want to highlight the stuff that you've done on the back end. So if you have like personal projects or you worked here and there and you want to kind of show that you have back end skills, you want to do a tailored resume for that post. And then a cover letter. Cover letters, right? Back before, and whenever I say back in the day, I kind of mean before ChatGPT. Cover letters used to be a huge problem because you had to write your cover letters yourself, or you would have to like produce them somehow and eventually get to something that was like readable, and do that for 50 jobs. And that gets very tiring because you kind of have to tell, hey, I'm interested in this job. I want to work here. I love the company. This looks like a huge opportunity for me. I want to do this and that. Like, it's kind of, I don't know. It feels weird to me because like you're kind of giving a love letter to a company that you don't know, and it's kind of expected. So to me, that's like a lot of work. But now, ChatGPT, not that hard. So I want to share a little tip that I have for you. Using ChatGPT, I created this little bot. It's not a bot. I created a custom GPT where I input my resume and the preferences that I have for the job that I'm looking for. And then I take a LinkedIn post. For example, I might be interested in this one, but I don't want to read through the whole thing. I just want to copy that description all the way here. And then I want to paste it here and hit go. What it's going to do is going to give me a score from 0 to 10 of how much my profile is matching this job. So it's going to give me a very concise explanation of why. So the role is a strong match due to your extensive experience in front-end technologies, particularly React, TypeScript, and web development, which are core requirements for the job. However, the job's focus on medical device and digital health user experience might be a new domain for you. That's perfect. That's all I want. Like, what I want to do is click this one, copy the thing, drop it here, or like, read the title, front-end architect. Probably not. Like, I'm not there yet. I'm not at the architect level. I could do it for a smaller company, but this looks like a bigger company. So senior application security engineer, I don't care about this. Full stack engineer, LLMs. This seems kind of like a fad. So I'm not crazy about LLM companies because I think like they're going to get crushed by OpenAI, but that's just my opinion. SDET with accounting. Yeah, I don't know. So I kind of look at the title and like staff software engineer. Sounds good. just going to copy the whole thing. I'm not going to read it. Just copy the thing. And then let's try this again. Job match or not. Drop it there. And then let the machine do its thing. 8. Okay, reasoning. Strong alignment with Node.js, TypeScript, and cloud infrastructure, but lacks Ruby and free switch experience. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to apply. So make cover letter for the job. And I wait for this. Searching my knowledge. Its knowledge is my CV and some documents that I added. Like I think I have like a blurb about my experience and so on. So it does it. It does it for me. It takes a couple of minutes. Probably takes 3 minutes to apply. Because then if you click on this, if you're familiar with job searches, sometimes they're using lever.co. What is this? Lever is a very common website for I would say like job posting forms. So if you're an employer, you kind of fill this in. You use this platform for candidates to fill up the resume, fill this form with a resume, and then they apply, and this is a third-party service for this company. So they're not just paying LinkedIn, they're also paying this other service. So this means that there's a huge business of job postings and stuff like that. So you might as well not worry too much about like, am I good enough? Is it am I a good engineer? Am I good at searching? I'm just going to apply to a couple of jobs. Just apply to everything. Apply to everything that appeals to you, and worry about if you're good enough or not. Never. Like don't think about that. I think this is a way to just streamline your process. And here's it was generated like a minute ago, but it's a very good cover letter. It's kind of generic, but if I really wanted to make it sound like, rewrite it to make it sound more casual and exciting. You couldn't do this before. So applying is way easier now. So it'll just say like, hey, it'll do whatever you tell it to do. So you can say it, make it short, make it longer, do this, do that. And even sometimes when you're applying, it asks you, some applications, they ask you like, how many years of this of like React experience do you have? So you type 5. How many, what experience do you have with this? And then there's like, I would say like gotcha questions on the forums, like, we know that everybody's using ChatGPT. I'm just gonna ask this specific question, like, if you were to work for this company, what would you think you can bring to the table? What's your unique contribution? And you just copy the thing. You copy the question. You paste it on this custom GPT that you can make for yourself. But if you're interested, we can build something like this later. You drop it in, and it answers the question, and you paste it. So, getting back to what I was talking about, updating your resume, having a tailored resume, and having a cover letter. That is all you need to like bomb apply. Like, apply to as much as you want. Don't really worry about yeah, don't get too precious about what you're applying to, because you want to have practice. And all that to say that once you applied and somebody really reads your resume and it goes through the system and you get an email saying like, hey, I want to talk to you, that's where you want to be ready for the interviews. So that is how to apply. So we talked about where to look. We're just talking about LinkedIn today. How to apply. We can talk about specifics of the resume building later. This is kind of a high level talk about how to approach looking for jobs and navigating cover letters. Same thing with cover letters. You can optimize your CV with ChatGPT. You don't even need like the paid version to do it. It's if you're good at prompting what you want and you have good examples, like let's see, resume sample. Oh, let's ask ChatGPT. Let's do that. Okay, I'm gonna put this on the side for a second. But what I want to show you is you can kind of get to a good point where you can ask, give me a sample of a resume for a TypeScript engineer with, say 2 years of experience with a bootcamp background. Okay, so it's going to make, I'm using ChatGPT 3.5, so it's the free version. It's giving you a good structure of how you want to write your resume. Here's the title, company name, location, date, started, present, and a couple of bullet points. That's a good start. So skills, that looks good. That kind of looks like my resume. And nice thing about this is that everything kind of looks the same now. So if you follow any advice from like build your portfolio, build your resume from medium.com or like anything, you can get to, with ChatGPT and asking the right questions, you can get there and you can polish your resume. You can always ask for help and talk to people. That's always an option. Like, I'm here. You can email me or you can comment, and I'll be happy to help you with your resume. And yeah, so that's what it. That's where that's the like the high level view of having a resume, and having a cover letter for applications. And where I want to tie it all in is if you have a website and in your website you're putting all your projects like this one. So by the way, we've been building this website kind of from scratch, or like rescuing the bones of this website, and you can find it on GitHub. So if you look at my GitHub and you click on my dev portfolio, there's a branch called Next.js, and this is the latest version of this website. We have been building it little by little and adding stuff to it so you can use it for yourself. And this is not as easy as like ChatGPT, but hopefully when the job is done, it'll be easy for you to grab this as an inspiration or just rip it off if you want. There you go. So we got a resume, we got a portfolio, and finally a web presence. What I mean by web presence is have enough for someone to Google your name. So if I Google my name, first thing that shows up is my LinkedIn, and then my personal website, my about page in my website, and then my GitHub, and then other stuff that's not completely relevant. Just like personal stuff. It's just like proves that I'm a real person. Hopefully someone can get an idea of who I am from these links. And if they go to my LinkedIn, then they're going to have my about section and all that stuff that, you're used to seeing. And if they go to my website, they're going to have a link to LinkedIn and a link to my email or like my email right there. And there's also my Twitter. Twitter also links back to GitHub. And that's what I mean, like a web presence that's well connected. So going back to Google, where is it? There it is. Okay. So Google, my website links to GitHub. GitHub links to my website. And I don't know why Twitter isn't showing up, but whatever. That's fine. That's it. So one last thing that I wanted to talk about. If you want to showcase your work on GitHub, well, it's important to showcase your work on GitHub. Always have a nice description of each project, and make sure that if somebody clicks on one of your projects, they're going to have a README, and that README kind of explains what the project has, what it does, and then it's going to be easy for someone who's navigating to get a sense of what you do, what you know, and then finally we get to the interviews. I want to talk about interviews in a different session because it's a completely different beast. But this thing about like looking for a job or looking for a looking for a job that you wanna get, and have your resume ready, your portfolio, and your web presence. I think this should be kind of like a cycle that it's good to have flowing constantly. So look for jobs, apply, have your resume, your portfolio, your GitHub up to date, and apply with your updated resume or tailored resume and your cover letter using ChatGPT. So keep this flow. And when you get to interviews, the nice thing about that is that you're going to have hopefully enough interviews to practice, and interviews will be easier to do because this cycle kind of, if you get it going, it kind of spins automatically at some point. And if you're watching this on right now, which is for me, the present is Friday, January 5th, 2024. And you've been looking for a job, I don't know for how long, but like I know for a fact that December is a terrible time to look for jobs. Maybe November kind of also. January is not that bad. And I say this because how companies kind of work, they do yearly planning around the summer, or around the summer. They finalize all those plans in the fall, and then everybody leaves Yeah, like New Year, Christmas, and all the holidays. Nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to touch anything. Everybody wants to just relax. And then New Year comes around, and everybody is back. Uh, Probably the second week of January, everybody's back to the grind. And then if you keep looking and you keep applying, hopefully mid January, maybe early February, you're going to have some calls. And so take the time to go through that. Hopefully this tip for looking for filtering through jobs on LinkedIn helps you. Hopefully also kind of like getting a sense of what you need and how you want to do it, how you can like navigate applications is not that hard. If you want to get into in depth something, if you want to get into like deeper stuff for resume building or building your portfolio or building your GitHub and all that, let me know. I'm happy to read your comments, and thank you for joining. It's been a pleasure. Hope to see you soon, and happy job search. Bye.